everybody. Well, thanks for joining me on Periscope today. I'm on a parenting series and excited to continue to talk about this today. I started yesterday talking about attachment, and I just want to share my attitude and my heart about attachment. There is a parenting style called attachment parenting. And the thing that I love about it is the attachment part because we exist for relationships, and the attachment between the parent and child is so massively important to health and to developmental health. Oh, thank you for sharing my website. There's TrinaTitusLozano.com. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Trina Titus Lozano, and I'm a counselor and an ordained Christian minister. And I have 4 kids. 3 are married, so that makes 7 now. And I've got 9 grandkids, 1 on the way, so that'll be 10 soon. So I love family bonds. I'm in the middle of 5 generations. My grandmother lives with me half the year, and she's going to be 93 soon. And my parents live here in the town that we live in, very, very close to me, and we office share. And then my children and my grandchildren all live in the same town here. So it is beautiful that the 5 generations, we get to interact on a regular basis. So my grandmother gets to interact and have a close relationship with her great grandchildren. So there's 5 generations there of attachment. That's what I want to talk about, is attachment. See, we will become like, instinctively, we will become like whatever we attach to. And here's a real concern of mine, frankly, is you love my grandma? Oh, yes. She's so adorable. She's precious. I love her too. So the concern is when there isn't a strong parental and parent-child bonding and a strong parent-child and family attachment really for generations, kids begin to attach to their peers. Yes, you do become what we are attached to. It is powerful. And it's that kind of like the root system, and those family roots, it's just like, the tree is attached to the roots. And even scientifically and in physics, attachment, cells attaching to each other, this in biology is so important. There's got to be this attachment. Okay, so as we are closely bonded and closely attached to our children and to our parents and to our grandparents, and it goes both ways in our family tree, these family tree attachments are very important. And what is dangerous is whenever we don't understand the value of attachment, because when we don't understand the value of it, then we don't seek to be sure that it's happening. And in order for things to attach, you have to be available. We do have to be so available. Well, how do you unattach when toxic? You attach yourself to somebody that you want to be like, So you're going to have to be transplanted, so to speak, Susan, and attach to something different that you want to be like, because you will become like whatever you attach to. So I've got a girl living here with me right now, and she's attaching to me so that I can help her understand, how I think and how I work and how I process things, so she's attaching to me in relationship, so that she can become more like me. She can become mentored like me. But in parenting and family bonding, this is so critical. And what's happened culturally is we've had a shift to pure attachment. And so if your children are not well bonded and well attached to you, then they attach to their peers, and then they want that significance and that love coming from their peers. And that's where the problem begins, is at this time of their life, say 6 years old, they have such a need for attachment. Well, this is a time where parents typically will go back to work. You want your kids to be as close to you as you are to your parents and grandparents. Me too, Danielle. That is so me too. I just do. So this is so important. Now, my big concern in what's happening in our society right now is that kids are not getting the attachment that they need at a young age because of the amount of distractions. There's not that quality attachment, the quality connection. So if you will notice, infants and attachment parenting really mostly talks about infants. So that's great. I love that. But I'm gonna continue on into the maturation process here. So we've got infants and little, toddlers, preschoolers, and then elementary age students. Okay, well, you can have that close attachment, with the natural childbirth and the skin-to-skin contact and the breastfeeding and the baby wearing and all that. That's wonderful. But then, as they begin to get toddlers, a trend is to send them to preschool and to daycare and to send them away and, and even to go back to work. But this is the most important time. Well, I don't know about the most important. It is equally as important because a 2-year-old learns to say, I love you by mimicking you, by copying you. You can say, I love you to them and you teach them the language and they'll say, I love you and mimic mimic those words and copy you. But they don't feel it in their heart yet. Their limbic system is not fully developed where they have that emotional connection with you, where they have the intellectual connection and the emotional connection developed at the same time, where they really choose to give you their heart. Well, by 3 years old, this brain development has happened, and you'll notice they start drawing pictures of hearts. They become so affectionate as a 3-year-old, where a 2-year-old, they're kind of all over the place. A 3-year-old, they're going to want to really touch your face a lot, and they're going to want to cuddle a lot, and they're going to start drawing pictures of hearts. They're going to talk. They'll tell you that they love you, not because they're mimicking, but because they're really feeling it. And 3, 4, 5 years old, you'll see they will really give you their heart if they have the opportunity. So if you are there and if you are well attached to them, yes, then you can be very well connected. Well, if that's a time when you're not there, they will attach to something else. They'll attach to their babysitter. They'll attach to their teacher. They'll attach to their peers. They'll grandparents. So you need to be their primary focus right now. They need to be your primary focus and you need to be their primary focus. This is very important. Now, yes, you can teach them their alphabet, and I know the pressure is on in education right now to go to preschool so that they'll be ready for kindergarten. Well, I'll tell you what needs to be ready. Their heart needs to be ready. Their emotions need to be ready. They need to be so well attached to you that they feel love, significance, and security, okay? So these years, beyond infant and up to their toddler years, these preschool years are massively important for attachment. I know they're too heavy to wear, and they are. And I know that you probably have babies, and then your older kids are getting to be 3 or 4 years old, so you're anxious to send them off and get them in a busy schedule. But I promise you, this is when parental attachment is massively developmentally important. I promise you it is. So you don't want them to be gone from you for many hours a day, every day, because they need to attach you by being there with you. Yes, homeschool your preschoolers, so you're with them. So you can teach them their alphabet. You're teaching them their language, and you're there for them to say, I love you, and you can say, I love you back, because this is a developmental time of attachment. This is when their self-esteem is being developed. This is when their value is being developed through you telling them stories about how much you wanted them, how you really wanted that pregnancy test to be positive. You really wanted to, you couldn't wait till you got to, give birth to them. They were wanted, they were loved. You loved the day they were born, and you loved to celebrate everything. Yes, but you guys are giving lots of great feedback here. I love it. I really, really love it. But this is so important. So I started talking about attachment yesterday, but as we're training them in Well, we're training them in 3 areas I wrote down. We're training them to be a viable being. So we're training them to be viable, to be independently able to put themselves asleep, independently able to feed themselves, independently able to throw their own trash away and to pick up their own toys. So we're training them to be a viable, responsible being. We're training them. And since we're training them, and if we're also modeling that, then they will become like that. You know, it's a monkey see, monkey do. Yeah, train up a child in a way he should go. When he's old, he will not depart from it. When he's old, he won't depart from it. But the training happens when they're young. These are the years. So like 0 to 6 years old for attachment is so important. Don't quit the attachment by the time they're 2. You've got to stick with that close attachment. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. These years are foundational for attachment. Yes, Susan, these are so foundational. You want to teach them to be resilient, okay? You know, when they fall down, let's get back up. Brush it off. You know, oh, I'm so sorry. I know that hurt, but you know what? We're going to be okay. Let's go. You know, you've got to train them to be resilient, to shake it off. This is something that you want to teach them during this age. Very important. And that attachment is what's going to help you teach it. That's cute. Okay. You also want to teach them to be a social being, to be others-oriented. This is a time of training when you are teaching them this. So you're teaching them to pay attention to their brothers and sisters, to really care about the things around them in social settings, so that when you go into a place, you know, we walk, we don't run, because there's a lot of other people here. You know, we can use our indoor voices, not, you know, and then so you're teaching them how to be social. So you're teaching them these very important things during this stage of life. This is foundational, but you can't teach them anything if you're not there, and they're not going to learn from you if you're not attached to them. So children want to obey. It's not a behavioral thing so much. Society has lost this, y'all, and it is such a big concern for me. You think you're doing your kids a disservice by having no, it's okay. You know, you just have however many kids you think is good, or how many kids God blesses for you. You know, I really don't think you're doing them a disservice at all. You just be a great mom to those 2, you know, and if that's what you feel like God has for you, you know, that's totally fine. You have a strong 7-year-old, tops back is the response. 4-year-old, everything. You'd love to hear my thoughts. Oh, you did want a big family? Well, maybe you'll have lots of grandkids. You know, kids who are well bonded with you, they want to obey you. So the kids the fighter kids, those gladiator kids that are really fighting back, you know, they need more relationship. They need more love, which is why I'm not a fan with timeouts and with isolation, because it pulls them away and it isolates them, but they need the relationship. So sometimes, you know, I love natural consequences, but depending on the situation, you know, what they're fighting with you about, you know, sometimes you can, you know, listen, teach them important verses. Model it out. Like a gentle answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger. You know, and teach them this. And then, well, yes, spanking, but you know, I have to tell you, most people don't know how to do it correctly. So I can never recommend spanking on the internet anymore, because it doesn't work. Because people spank out of anger, people spank out of abuse. My grandmother says that her grandmother spanked her with a rolled up newspaper, which I thought was a great idea. Now that's when she was a toddler. That's when she was like 2 years old. You know, 2, 3, young child. Her grandma would spank her with a rolled up newspaper, and I think that that's really great. You know, timeout is good if it's, but I like it to be right where I am, and it's got to be so if you take them out, like, you've got to literally supervise that timeout. Otherwise, you're letting your child sit in the anger. So they're angry at you. They're out of control. So yeah, to set the timer and give them time, like a minute per age is good. You know, if they're 4 years old, you know, a minute per age is good, something like that. But listen, supervise them and say, I love you too much to let you get away with the anger that you're having right now. I love you too much. So what you need to do is you're gonna stay in here, and I'll be back as soon as this timer goes off. And set a timer. Set a timer so they know you're 4 years old, you're getting 4 minutes. And I'll be back in 4 minutes, and you better change your attitude. You know, and you come back, and I mean, I used it, you know, I spayed my kids, but with a paddle, and only, it was very minimal. It was very minimal, and it was never with anger. So I would come back and I would say, okay, how's your attitude now? And listen, if their attitude wasn't changed, I would say, okay, you're getting 1 spank. You're getting a spank for your bad attitude. And then I might, if there was another one, I would say, and you're getting a spank for, you know, what, you're getting a spank for telling me no, and you're getting a spank because you're still angry and you're resistant to me. And I love you, and you love me too. So this, your attitude's unacceptable, and I can't allow you to continue this behavior. You're defiant. You're throwing things. You're breaking things. You're tantruming. You can't be left to the damage of the way that the anger is going to service you. You can't be left to this. I love you too much. I have to correct you. I have to discipline you. And I love you so much that I'm going to discipline you. And if it takes us all day today, we're gonna handle this. You know, and that's the thing. That's why I don't really recommend it, because people do spank out of anger, and that's very dangerous, and it's abusive. So, but anger is abusive. It really is. That's right, Wendy. We are not a victim of our emotions, and our kids have to know that too. You're not a victim of your emotions. So, y'all, you've got to keep your cool, but you're the one that has to discipline them. So, I mean, when I would spank, it would literally be 1 swat, and then I would walk back out of the room, and then I would come back and say, how you doing? Can we just move on? Can we go play? Can we be done with this? Can you let your anger go? Because I forgive you. Like, you know, you had a bad tantrum there. You know, you scratched your sister's face, you broke the toy, and you know, and you told me no, and you screamed, and I can't let you get away with those things. I love you too much to let you be that kind of a person. You don't want to be that kind of a person. So you're being disciplined, but let's just try again, okay? Can you change your attitude now so we can try again? And y'all, when the spank is over, or the timeout is over, or whatever you choose to do, or the natural consequence, you know, is done, I let it go. And I think the most important thing is that you let it go. I'm glad that you feel empowered. That's good. The most important thing is when it's done, it's hugs and kisses. All right, let's go. We'll do better next time. Let's try next time. Hi, Mom, from Brazil. So we'll do better next time. But a child who is well loved and well attached is going to want to be obedient. You were whipped with a switch belt. See, that's horrible. It's horrible, and it's damaging. It is damaging. It's not love. It doesn't breed love, significance, or security. You know, it's damaging. It's destructive. It's horrible. You should not be disciplined that way. You're beaten. Exactly. So, you know, that's what needs to change. What needs to improve in our world today is true discipline, you know, which is you have, out of love and attachment, you have discipline as in discipleship, as in, I'm going to be your frontal lobe. I know what's in your best interest, and because I love you, I can't allow you to act that way. Because I love you, I have to tell you that this is acceptable and this is not acceptable. So here are the consequences. And yeah, the structure. But you know, you tell them the consequences in advance. There's always natural consequences. And you know, sometimes the natural consequences are the toughest ones to enforce. But you know, if they didn't do their homework, they forget their homework, and then they call you, want you to bring it to them, but you say, you know, I'm sorry, that's a bummer. I'm not going to be able to do that, but that's the consequence. You know, then they'll get in trouble from their teacher. They'll get a bad grade. But, you know, don't rescue your kids. Let them have that natural consequence. Yes, because I love you. I can't let you act this way. That's what God does with us. You know, he loves us so much, and sometimes we get rebuked. Sometimes trials come, and we've got natural consequences because of the consequences of our choices. But, you know, he loves us enough to learn from those lessons. And so, you know, but don't be so don't be as concerned at the young ages about, I think people get overly concerned about the behavior and not concerned enough about attaching and literally being there. People are way too detached from their children. So be more attached, and be more present. And seriously, like, think about if you're training a pet or something, you pull the reins tighter, so to speak, and don't let them get away with so much. Teach them and have those little victories, teach them to not throw food on the floor. Teach them how to clean up after themselves. Teach them. So you've got to be present to train them. So train them. Teach them. So yes, discipline is part of that, but even more importantly of trying to get that, more than focusing on what not to do, really be proactive and focus on what to do. Yes, that is so true. People do tend to do that. They get exhausted, so they want to distance themselves to have a break. But that's the benefit of having two parents. That's the benefit of having grandparents. That's the benefit of having, a family, so people can take turns getting a break, because parenting is a 24/7 job, so you want to take turns getting a break, and and to have a babysitter for a couple of hours at a time is great. You need that. So get a babysitter that you trust so well that if your kids, mimic things that your babysitter tells them or would do with them, that would be a great thing, So we had a babysitter that was a wonderful person. She taught my daughters how to draw bubble letters. And so my neighbor who was a babysitter taught my daughter how to braid hair, so there were things that I couldn't do, like draw bubble letters and braid hair, that someone else could teach them, but only for a few hours at a time. You know what? Don't be afraid of your children misbehave, and don't be afraid of other people's judgment. People will judge, but when others see you, taking the full responsibility for your child's behavior, because your child's just behaving the way a kid behaves. Kids are going to misbehave. That's a given. But, don't just stand there and watch them misbehave. Like, do something about it. If they're flailing on the ground, throwing a tantrum, pick them up and take them out, so that they don't cause a big scene in the whole restaurant. Pick them up, take them out, and discipline them, and tell them you're not allowed to act that way. Stop, whatever it is. So you have to discipline them. The thing is to just let the bad behavior go like they're going to outgrow it. Y'all, they will not outgrow it. They have to be taught what to do. I know parents have to discipline. Kids want their parents to discipline. Kids want their parents to do their job, just like you want the pilot of an airplane to do his job. You want him to fly the plane. You want him to take the personal responsibility for what he has the responsibility for. But children want to attach to whoever is responsible for them. So if you're acting irresponsible because you're being lazy or because you're not disciplining them, then children won't attach to you the way that they should. They do crave that structure. It is so true. They crave the structure. They crave instruction. Literally, they crave instruction. They need instruction, and they like instruction, which is different than constant bossiness. It's really, there's so much of just doing it with them and talking them through things. But it's a lot. It's hard. It's kind of hard to talk about parenting because every child and every parent and every scenario is different. So as my mom likes to say, I can give overall principles more than specific instructions. In the counseling office, I can give specific instructions. But the principles that I'm talking about today is to carry the attachment all the way through until they're 6 years old. So don't stop that when they're 1 and 2. Carry that. Be the primary influence in their life. Be the primary disciplinarian. Be the primary teacher and the primary trainer and the primary person that is taking full responsibility, and then they will attach to you. What happens at 7? Well, you know what? It's not that it's not important to continue this at 7 and 8, but the main attachment will be fairly well accomplished by those years. So these are the formative years. So by 7, if you've done this great job between 0 and 6 of being there and really attaching, by 7, you will be well attached. Like, they will want to please you. They will want to obey you. And if it's not established, then they'll be mostly influenced by their peers. And you don't want that to happen, okay? So I hope that that's helpful to y'all. And just let it be something to think about. And I'm certainly not judging everybody. Everybody's life circumstances are different. I just wanted to give you some tools for you to make some wise choices in your parenting decisions. Because parenting and having a great relationship, a well-bonded relationship with your children, with your parents, and then with the generations to come, your grandchildren, this is why you exist. This is the foundation of society, and this is what really matters most. So that's why it's a great thing to really put some effort into. God bless you guys. I'll be back at 9 o'clock tonight. Y'all have a great day. Bye-bye.